Welcome back. So we're talking about the construction of the driveway and access to the main property, and the backhoe. Once we got it going, everything was fine. We're making some pretty good progress. Got us on the line. Down we go, and we get about halfway to the dry wash where we need to build the bridge. And we've been picking up thorns in the tires all along, and these thorns are pretty big. But so I was a little nervous about that. And we get about halfway to the bridge, and I puncture a tire, front tire, and I think, crap, because. Okay, I mean, what I've got to do is take the tire off and put a new inner tube in it, have an inner tube put in it, and that doesn't seem to be too big of a deal. I mean, it's sort of manageable in theory, at least. But before we came out here, I either sold or gave away almost all of my tools. So, how am I going to get this tire off? Now, one of the nice things about the backhoe is that jacking it up is not a problem. You can do it in an instant. So, since these are front tires, you just drive that front loader bucket down, and the front end just pops right up. Easy. But I don't have the tools, at least not all the tools. Now, you may also think, you're a guy like me, you think, great, this is an opportunity to buy more tools. And yeah, I do need ultimately to replace a lot of what I got rid of in Virginia. I just don't want to do that now. I don't have a place for it all. And I'd rather not have a need for it yet. But anyway, I've got a Milwaukee cordless impact driver, and it's wonderful. It's got a lot of power to it. This will be great. So I've got that tool at least. First thing I need is an impact socket, and I don't know what size lug nuts or lug bolts I guess I have to deal with. So I buy a caliper and I measure it, and it's 29 mils. So I go to the auto parts store and get a deep well 29 mil impact socket. Wonderful. It will not go with my impact driver. I simply need an adapter for it. And I know that these things can be kind of flimsy. These adapters for these impact drivers can be flimsy. They're essentially disposable. You break them, throw them away, use a new one. So I looked around a little bit and found what I figure was probably the best quality for the money kind of thing, and ordered those on Amazon. And Amazon does not work here in Puerto Rico like it does on the mainland in the States. They did not show up on my doorstep the next morning or the next day. Amazon takes about a month to deliver what you order here. So now what do I do? Well, I figure, okay, while I wait for that to arrive, let me go and get a breaker bar and see if I can't use the breaker bar to get these things off. If so, fine. Then at least when I get it fixed and all the rest, I can put it back on with the impact driver and everything will be fine. So I go to Home Depot to get a breaker bar, and it's a Husky breaker bar, and I really wasn't thrilled at the idea of buying a Husky brand breaker bar. If you don't know, that is the Home Depot brand. So I had my doubts about the quality. So let me tell you, I picked this thing up. It's an impressive piece of metal. It's pretty darn solid, and I thought, all right, this will do the trick. So armed with a breaker bar, waiting for the adapters to come in for the impact driver, I head to the property and try to remove the tire.
Back socket. So let's see how this works for us. Oh, good heavens. more leverage. Good gracious. I don't know if I can let this down without running it. There we go. Again. Really on there.
I'm sorry to say, it looks like when you do that, there's a bend in the bar.
There is a bend in the bar.
Well, that clearly doesn't work. So I'm still kind of stuck until the adapters come in. When they do, that's fine. It's it is what it is. It's just the hurry up and wait when you're ordering stuff from Amazon here. When they arrive, I figure fine. This is a solid little impact driver. It's got a lot of torque. This ought to do the trick. But as I mentioned, my concern was that these things break and are disposable in effect. But I think I think it was just a dozen of them with that in mind. So back to the property we go with the impact driver to try and get this thing to work.
Pedro's dogs are happy to see me. So I bought this breaker bar, hoping that I'd be able to just twist these off, and I can't get it to budge. 29 mil socket. So then on Amazon, I ordered these adapters for my impact wrench, my cordless impact wrench, and I'm hoping that the adapter will hold up. And then I can at least get these broken so that the breaker bar will work, or just pull them all the way off. Tire is very clearly flat. I think it's picked up a thorn, and you may be a little surprised to hear that a thorn will puncture this. It's tubed, and the thorns here are pretty nasty. Here's a shot of one. So let's see if the impact driver is gonna do what I need it to do. Get a little warm. Hey, that one spun. Got one of them. That's what I was afraid of.
So yeah, as you can see, the impact driver is not gonna get. I think I got one of them. Looks like I got one of them to go with the impact driver. So gee, now what? Well, we've needed to put a little air in the tire of the Tesla for a while, and once or twice, and we're certainly going to need I'm going to need a compressor. This is one more of those tools that I was planning on ultimately picking up. So I figure, all right, I'll pick up a compressor and I'll pick up an impact wrench. And that ought to hammer it out. That ought to do the trick. So I go back to Home Depot, and I pick up it's a rigid pancake style air compressor, and I love it. It's a great little compressor with, unfortunately, emphasis on the little. It powers up to about 125 psi in no time flat. It's a pretty good, pretty quick compressor that way, but I think it's a 6-gallon tank, so it doesn't hold a lot of air. But it'll certainly run an air tool. But I've got no power out there. So what I was hoping, or figuring I would do, is just charge this thing up, charge this compressor up, lug it down to the backhoe. Hook it all up, bang, 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 and run it until the compressor is out of air. Bring it back here, charge it back up again, and it ran for a little while before it clearly wasn't up to the task anymore. And my neighbor Pedro, God bless him, actually brought an extension cord over and gave me power, and so I just. That was perfect. I just ran it, bang, 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 and I, as I recall at that point, I got 5 of the 6 lug nuts off. But there's always that one, right? So at this point, what do I do? Well, actually, Pedro's, I don't know, son-in-law, cousin, nephew, whatever he is, I don't know, comes on over to gives me a hand. I've got a cheater bar that I get to give me even more leverage on that breaker bar, and it's not working. So this fella comes on over to give me a hand with a much longer pipe. This guy's huge. I called him Oso, a bear, big guy. He didn't speak a word of English. But that's all right. We figured it out. My broken Spanish was enough, and he knew what was going on. So we put the breaker bar on and that cheater bar on, and we got 5 of the 6 of them done. And that last one, we break the breaker bar. So crap. Now what? The breaker bar didn't work. We broke it. The impact driver didn't work. We broke the adapters. The impact wrench didn't work. It's just hammering, but nothing. So I buy a torch because I figure that'll do it, right? Heat, always does the trick. Heat it up and kind of break that thing loose. And so I bought a propane torch, actually a MAP gas torch, because I really wanted to bring the heat. And boy, I did. And I heated the heck out of this thing. And it didn't work. What finally broke that last lug bolt loose was PB Blaster. And this channel isn't sponsored by anybody. It's certainly not sponsored by PB Blaster, but boy, that stuff is brilliant. And if you've been in this kind of situation and you're watching this, you're probably thinking you've probably been screaming at the screen, PB Blaster, PB Blaster. Yes, I know. And you may say you should have done it at the beginning. Yes, but I figure the breaker bar ought to work, or that impact driver ought to work, or the impact wrench should certainly work. Oh my God, the torch should certainly work. But PB Blaster, and I just soaked it and soaked it. I would soak it. Hit it with the impact driver, just to rattle it a little bit. Spray some more, rattle it in there. Spray some more, rattle it in there. And after 2 or 3 days of kind of trying to get in there, I finally got that thing to break loose. Now, while that was going on, the other front tire went flat. Oh well, no big deal. I can manage that. So I wound up getting both of the tires off eventually. It was just the one lug nut that really caused me the problem, or the lug bolt that caused me the problem. Got both of them off. Put them in the back of the Tesla, and I hate doing that, but it's the only vehicle we've got right now. So I had got to get them out of there somehow. Put them both in the back of the Tesla. Found a shop that works on equipment tires like this, and they were able to put new tubes in it that day, inflate them, brought them back, stuck them back on the backhoe, and we're back in business. Great, everything's wonderful. So I'm going to make the last push to that dry wash that I have to bridge, that we have to have bridged. And I've cleared some of the limbs and stuff out of the way, so I'm ready to go. And I've got some deep grass as I'm heading down that line towards that dry bridge, dry wash, and so I can't see what's in the grass. And there were two obstacles, I guess, two problems lurking in the grass. The first, which I didn't discover until very late, after all of this happened, was a stump. And the stump was about, 9-10 inches high, about the diameter of a broomstick, maybe a little bit more. But the problem was it was really pointy, and I didn't see it. I mean, there's no way that you would see that in all that grass. The second thing is that as you're going along, there's a little bit of a rise, and then it drops off abruptly, and I couldn't really see that in the grass. Grass had grown up, so high you couldn't tell that it was really there. So I'm bringing the backhoe up, and it turns out I run over this stump, which punctures one of my rear tires, one of the big rear tires. And I don't notice it immediately because I'm in the backhoe. I'm in the cabin of the backhoe, and it's just, it's loud and all of the rest. And I'm turning the backhoe around, and as I do, that back tire comes to that rise and drop off there, and begins to slide down down that hill. And let me tell you, folks, that was a heck of a pucker moment right there, because backhoes are top heavy, and I was confident for a moment there we were going over. I was thinking, oh man, but kept the backhoe upright. I took the excavator bucket and swung it around to the high side, and was able to kind of creep off of that hill. And then once I got off that hill, I realized I've lost that tire. So the tire, as I went over the hill, just kind of grabbed and got pulled off of the rim. It broke the bead, is what we'd say. So I kind of limped down and parked the backhoe. What's held us up have been flat tires, and of course that's what you saw just before we began this little segment. Is the flat tire up front. In fact, both front tires wound up being punctured. And what the heck? If you're going to fix one, fixing two is not that much additionally. But the lugs, I was able to pull the lug nuts off of one completely. But one lug nut, isn't this always the way? One lug nut simply would not go. Could not. Oh no! Could not get it to go. And look at that. It's son of a bitch flat again. All right.
this is no bueno. And you know, there's the issue, right? And you just never know when you're going to get one of these things. But the other issue here is the big tire. See here, this big tire is off of the bead, and so the hydraulics slow down a little bit, or you know, ease up a little bit. I've had driven this down and jacked that up. I'll do that again, and I'm going to see if I can't pop that tire back on the bead. This has no inner tube in it, like the front ones do, and I'm going to see if I keep losing these front tires to punctures like this. I'm going to see if I can't get some front tires with the bigger treads, because otherwise I'm just going to be patching these things all the time. So, it's a bit of a pain, but it's, you know, it's manageable. All right. Here's what happened to drive the rear tire off of the bead. So I came up here. I love this machine. When it's working, it's a great machine. But this tree that you see in front of us would have been on top of me where I'm standing right now. And I was able, with this front bucket, to just lift it up and push the whole thing over there. So I love this machine. It's got tremendous ability, tremendous power. But I came up through here, and the dry gulch is just beyond us a bit. But I came up through here, and part of the problem is the grass is so thick. I came up over this bump here, and as you'll see, it really drops off quite a lot. And I took that tire, and we went over that edge. Now, I didn't roll it over. It got a little hairy there for a moment, I'll admit. But what I need to do, of course, is take the digger and with that bucket just grade all of this smooth, grade it all flat. But when I went over the edge here, the tire just, you know, got twisted on the rim and broke the bead, and poof, went flat.
So now what? There's, you know, I can't do anything with this. Yes, I've got PB Blaster now. I guess I can pull the lug nuts off of this, and as before, jacking it up is easy. But it's not going in the Tesla, that's for sure. So, but I've got a little compressor. I figured I'd give that a try. And so I went back to Home Depot. I bought a ratchet strap so that I could squeeze the tire down around the wheel and try and get some contact between the tire and the rim itself, and then blow it back out and back on the bead. I did not at this point realize that I'd actually punctured the tire.
Cross your fingers.
So yeah, that doesn't work either, because the compressor, it's a fine little compressor, but it just doesn't produce the volume of air that's necessary to make the tire go poof. So now I wind up spending almost a month, as it turns out, trying to find someone who can come out and make a service call out to the backhoe to work on this thing, and it's amazing. I mean, I talked to tire shops and all this, went to the folks who put the inner tubes into the front tires, and no, they don't have a service vehicle. They gave me names and numbers of people who I would send them texts, and we had really strange conversations. I for the life of me don't know what was going on with them. Eventually, to make the long story short, eventually I found a guy named Pedro, and Pedro came out, spent the morning with me, and he shows up in a service truck with a big old compressor in the back of it. It was beautiful, and he drives on down to the backhoe, and we look at the tire, and he discovers that it's punctured. I thought, oh crap! And so he pulls it halfway off of the rim, and he gets his hand inside that tire, and he cleans it all up, and he patches the tire from the inside and puts it back onto the rim, and with that big old compressor of his, boom, just puts it right back onto the rim. Everything's great. Wonderful fella. I think he's probably the last guy in all of Puerto Rico who will make a service call to do tire service on construction or agricultural equipment. It's insane. So while I'm looking for a guy to fix the back tire, I remove both of the front tires again, toss them in the Tesla again, and I find a shop. JC Tire Imports, run by a young man named Juan Carlos, wonderful fella, and he is able to import a couple of equipment tires that will fit those rims, and I replace these old 4-ply tires with brand new 12-ply tires, and the one that's blown is blown. There's no patching that inner tube. So I get a new tube for that, use the old tube on the one that was still holding air, put those back on, and they're fine. So I replaced the 2 front tires because otherwise I'm just going to be replacing inner tubes in them every week, which is crazy. Okay. At this point, I'm able to drop that front bucket and just scrape and clear the driveway out to the dry wash, and I turn around and I'm able to clear it all the way out. So the driveway from the main road to where the bridge is going to need to be built is there. At this point, we bring some engineers out. I spent some time. I find a company in a neighboring town that does civil engineering. They'll do the permitting kind of stuff for us, but they'll also do some of the design and construction if we want. And they come out to look at the job and see what they want to do. And that's actually the subject of the next video. Great bunch of guys, wonderful company, and I think I'd be happy to have them perhaps do the bridge. That's a bit of a longer story, but they gave us some news that kind of put a wrinkle into our plans, and so that wrinkle and how we iron everything out is the subject of the next video. If you don't want to miss it, go ahead and subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. And I, as I mentioned before, I don't particularly care. I don't get anything from YouTube for this. I can't imagine ever getting anything from YouTube for this. But feel free to subscribe. We'd love to have you around. Like it if you like other people's misery, because this has just been miserable. And if you like that, wait till the next video. Oh boy. Um, but drop me a comment. Let me know. Let me know how you're doing. By all means, tell me. Warner, you idiot. You should have gone with a PB blaster immediately. I'm not going to disagree with you. Oh well. Anyway, look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.